I'm gonna post this on YouTube. I'm going to post this on YouTube, so before I get started on what I wanted to talk about, I'm just gonna chill, go with the game a little bit, get into some flow state action. Some of the things I was talking about yesterday.
Iron Banner. Let a new chapter commence. hunt is on. The hunt has ended. The fires are lit. Find your prey and end them. Another hunt will come soon. The flames have ignited. Let the wolves hunt. You exemplify the hunter. That's two. Minutes left. Sound tactics so far. The howls are quiet. Return to the fight. That's two. Three minutes remain. Keep the pressure and you have them. Show the Empress what Guardian artillery looks like. 1 minute. Victory is within your grasp. Fight. Seconds. Stay on them. That's 2. Guardian, crush them. You've almost won. But don't let up. They won't. The original Iron Lords may be gone, but I can see the future is safe in your hands.
First game was not so bad, yo.
Iron Banner. Show me a new legend. What comes next, they will not enjoy. 2 down. You are in control. Show them what that means. Let the wolves rest. The hunt is over.
I definitely needed to back out, but I got a little bit fucking thirsty for the scoreboard.
Now you are the wolf. Finish the hunt.
Now I'm too thirsty to get back to where I
The
was in the
hunt has
scoreboard.
ended.
That's weird.
That's two. The flames have ignited. Let the wolves hunt. The hunt has ended. Vicious. The flames have ignited. Let the wolves hunt. 5 minutes left. Sound tactics so far. You strike as one. Let the wolves rest. The hunt is over. That's two. Now you are the hunted. The howls are quiet. Return to the fight. Victory is yours for the taking. Seize it. Together, nothing can stop you. Victory is yours. Like a line of thralls.
Darth Maul.
You have Ikora's instinct. Kindred spirits.
Blue
the
Maul.
two of you.
Oh, fuck. Hey, excuse me. I have this little thing I want to talk about, bro. I want to talk about why Hollywood's problem is everyone's problem, honestly. But I'm not sure how many people I'm going to get on here, so I'm going to just start talking about it. I mean, honestly, Hollywood has crawled itself, in a way, it's backed itself into a tunnel, or a corner, with its creativity. That's why we're seeing so many things, related to heroes, right? Superheroes and all the reround. Because, what was the era right before superheroes? It started getting extremely artsy and slow pace. But that wasn't the problem with movies, bro. Okay, that's annoying. I'm gonna take it fucking as a little sign that I'm sucking at whatever I'm about to talk about. Because my stream just cut down for a second, then pops back up. And that's the most annoying shit ever. Basically, oh man, I was gonna get off track, but I could get on there. I need to get in the flow state and talk about it. And that's what I wanted to fucking do. But here I am fucking up like an idiot. Trying to talk about how fucking movies go in the... Yeah, blah, blah, blah. That was part of what I was thinking. That's definitely not how I was supposed to start this thought process. Basically, I always find it extremely hard to get back on a track once I fucking ran it. And I really want to talk about this shit because it is cool and it is the truth and it's something everyone needs to fucking understand. I guess I have to start from the back and work my way through the thought again. Which is simply that society as a whole is exactly like ourselves. Yourself. You as a person. You are a tiny little society. Everything you know, everyone you know, they're all influences on your perception of reality, which actually is just another word for society. It's the perception of reality, because everybody is using their perception to focus these words. Like, when anybody mentions society, they're using a perception, right? And that perception is filled up by all the data that relates to such a gigantic term. The term is too big for some people to comprehend. In fact, I think society is too big of a term for anyone to comprehend, because it is simply another term for ourselves, and it can be stretched as big as a society for a country or the world or anything like an entire continent or something as small as Hollywood. The Hollywood environment is like a society. And the cool thing about Hollywood specifically Hollywood society, is that it literally shows off through the way it's been structured and built, the way it is supported in itself.
Return to the fight.
It shows what it's doing and who it's reflecting, what it's reflecting to everybody. And in a way, it almost like, it seems like it's guiding people, right? But is it just reflecting? And it's like, what came first, chicken or the egg? Is society reflecting off of how Hollywood and movies and TV are, projecting reality? Or is reality simply why Hollywood looks the way it does? Because it's trying to reflect, it's trying to reflect its nature on itself. What do I mean by that? Mumbo jumbo. It's not mumbo jumbo, it's just a lot. It's the perfect viewing point. If you look at the things that Hollywood produces, you can literally see, regardless whether the chicken or the egg came first, you can see how society looks. And it doesn't matter if you can see through the truth, of course. You gotta see past the fantasy aspects that they put forth. The messages that they are putting out is what we are talking about here. And those messages are getting amplified and shoved out there through their
Fires are lit. Find your
what, their
prey,
capsule.
end
Their
them.
capsule is the fantasy, it's the fun. And it's not just Hollywood doing it, it's pretty much all content creators can do this. It's not a
The
big deal.
hunt has ended. The flames are
You just
lit.
have to lose this fucking internet when I getting good. The path that Hollywood has fallen down. What is happening, bro? Anyway, I have to keep talking about this before I lose the train. The path Hollywood has weasel my ass. What am I weaseling on content creators themselves? This is way too loud. Okay, so without that loud music in my ear, let me try and get back there. Hollywood has reflected society in a perfect way, and I'm talking all of societies, because what are we in ourselves but mini societies? So, where are you going with your personality if you keep asking yourself, if you gave yourself enough me time, personal space, mental freedom, where would you end up going? What would you end up wanting to do? Have you let yourself visualize that to a full degree? Because that is what I'm trying to do myself. I've given myself so much free time just to think, and it has been extremely relaxing. My anger has disappeared. Well, I do smoke still. Smoking calms me down a lot, which is twofold. Because I do have a mind that I would consider races, and when I smoke, my mind slows down from the race. I step off the sprint, if you will, and I start walking again. And it's almost like I pictured it this way the other day. The smoke in my mind. I used to say I like to get fog-minded because people are like, they don't like being fog-minded. And I was like, I like to smoke, so I slow down. So I was like, it's kind of the same thing. It's not the same thing. But now I can look at it this way. Smoke is like a canvas in my brain, so I get more perspective because I am slowing down and I get to write my thoughts out. Again, I don't recommend this for anyone because it's a drug. Weed is good, but for me, that's the thing. Anyway, back to it, bro. Content creators, and the problem with originality in general is the fact that human beings are really not that different. We're just exposed to so many different things, and we always come back to similar conclusions. So, the question is, if we all found ourselves enough free time to become who we really truly wanted to become, would we be different from each other? And I do want to know the answer to that because I have no idea. I think that would be so cool. But I do know this. When I had plenty of free time and I wasn't thinking about it too hard, I went ahead and made this game character right here. I mean, I put a lot of effort into what other people have already put effort into. I just piece shit together. And sure, this looks very similar to what I pieced together before, but right now it's not very original because it it's what someone else created. This is a whole set. This sweatshirt right here, these arms and the chest piece are a set. The hood and the pants are separate, but still, it's not that hard to create. The point is, I love this, and this is how I would design my character. Someone else came up with it. I'm not that original, but I love it so much, and I don't care about sharing that with them. And they don't care about sharing with me, which is why they put it on here. Society in itself is already going in a certain direction of fun and freedom, and it's safe as long as we can remind ourselves why it's safe and keep putting up barriers to keep it that way. These are the little things I've noticed while growing my personal society. The longer I think and the more I learn, bad things can be turned full circle to good things. Doesn't make the bad thing good. Do not mistake in that knowledge. Looking at something in a full circle way is as simple as understanding it and letting it go. Understanding it and finding a solution, one or the other. That's what happens every time you full circle think. And I can't really go into what full circle thinking is right now, because I wanted to talk about Hollywood's problem again. We're going back to this. And I love to say full circle all the time when a new topic comes back up. But that's kind of like a little joke we used to do. Me and my homies. Inside joke, and I can't let it go, so bear with it. That's why I'm leaving full circle logic out of this right now, because it's not. If the fucking inside joke comes back up, it'll definitely derail the shit out of me. Holy shit. So, World War fucking two. That is what we're about to talk about next. And it relates to Hollywood's problem in a great way. Because what happened in World War II? Unfortunately, Japan went through some issues due to the war. And it is history at the moment. And I'm sure people reflect that too, which is good. I wasn't alive. I don't know anything about it really, other than what I've been taught in school. Excuse me. The point is, there is a lot of structural clearing, right? Both in... There's a lot of fucked up shit that happened in World War II. We're specifically talking about what happened to Japan, though. And that was not cool. It fucked up a country to a degree. Two cities did not do well because of what America did. That is the truth. America defended itself. That is what it said, and that is the truth. So, point is, we don't know. It ended the war, but history is history, and I'm not here to talk about that exactly. I'm here to talk about the effect, the good part of this shit. Because what happened to Japan afterwards, for some reason, one way or the other, their artistic nature didn't blossom. It had already blossomed. It quadrupled. It at least doubled down. Do you understand? It grew crazy. And what did they do with it? They made beautiful art and stories, guys. They made some amazing art. And what did they do with that? They put it in cartoon fashion, a very cheap and fast, but beautifully done, you know, avenue. I'm talking about anime. Anime is fucking awesome. There's so many beautiful stories, and they all relate to great life lessons. If you can see past the fantasy. Because, you don't need to fucking have magic to understand why the fuck you don't do something, Bad example. I don't have any specific anime in mind. They just often have some form of magic. Point the fuck is, anime has started to, over the last 20 years, 30 years, it has come to a general conclusion of similar content, just like Hollywood has. They've come to a very similar standpoint at the same time, which is very cool. It's an apex moment right now. A singularity in content creation. Because both in anime and in Hollywood, superhero movies and content is overlapping. It's smashing together. It is the topic. Hero and villain and superpowers. That they're both at the same fucking standstill. And they don't know where to go with this. And do you know why? Well, they probably will find out with or without this conversation. But that's not the point. This is a great moment in fucking history where if these two massive units, Hollywood and Japan, came together, these massive societies came together, they could start something brand new with the structure that Hollywood has to make these beautiful movies that seem unreal because their realism is almost beyond what's outside, which is beautiful in its own right because it's fantasy still, you can tell. Take that, bring over some of Japan's absolutely stunning creativity and art forms, and you got yourself some of the most fantastic content already. What goes into the content? That is the big question. Is it superhero stuff again? Is it action stuff? I don't think so. Is it overly artsy stuff? Perhaps. The thing is, history has been recycling content over and over again, making it better and more refined. And what has been always kind of present as a theme, the constant theme, but violence itself. Violence and love, of course. It is a perpetuator of energy and flow. You need opposition in a way, a force. Nature can be violent, and that is the truth. So what happens when we look at violence a little bit too hard? Even in fantasy movies and video games, sci-fi things, just fictional stories. When we look at it a little bit too hard, we realize we are perpetuating and framing a small window of what is okay and what is not okay. And this is something I've always stood on the other side of the argument for. That violence in fictional video games and virtual realities and things is pretty good. It's okay. It is fake. Completely fake and fine, usually. But it has a certain level of distaste. Because when I am at my strongest mentally, and it's easy to ignore such things as like shooting people who respawn. You know, it's easy as hell to ignore that. When it doesn't become as easy, what is it? When I don't feel as strong as a person and I see violence like that, it actually puts me off quite a bit these days because I've thought about stuff a little bit too hard. So I have to distend the belief even further, but more purposefully. Now that I'm a little bit older, I suppose. And what does that mean? I think society is doing the same thing. I'm not sure if it's because I'm older or because my society, my personal self, has become more advanced and evolved amongst. I have more perspective because I've changed over the years. So I'm just talking about myself here. Me over the years has changed very, very, very great deal. And I have these different perspective points of who I was and what I carried through and what I didn't want to carry through. And, you know, that's why I feel like I reflect a little bit like society has overall. Because I've noticed similar traits. And of course, I've grown by reflecting off of society. We are the universe observing itself. I think Hollywood and big content creators like the studios of Japan are looking for a less a less gory way to not gory. What is it? It's such a hard idea to capture here. They're looking for a way to use violence without evil, if you will, because evil is intrinsically unnecessary. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about something big. Hero movies are violent without killing, and that is a big theme in them. And then the question gets asked again and again, why? Why are you separating it from other movies? What are you saying about these other movies? Because you're begging the question, is a movie like John Wick horrible? Or is it just as good an action film as something like Captain America? Or, Batman. I think people do get clapped in Captain America too. What are they saying by these art pieces? Are they saying the right thing? I think they might be. It's a good question to ask, but it's not a good question to leave unanswered. And that's a point I think people are starting to see. Not only have they combinated, blah, 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 I don't know the word. They came together, right? And started making the same content over and over again with different lenses slightly. You have all the superhero movies out. You have all these different anime TV shows about the same thing, right? What? Either hero group academies, or they're going to different worlds, right? And starting new lives and growing societies basically. It's cool. It's all cool stuff. It really is. Actually, perhaps the answer right there. The answer is already right in front of us, dude. And I think Hollywood is taking advantage of it. That's funny. But they still could come together and cross some borders right here. And I think the best thing about it is video games are a perfect avenue for them to dump that creativity in. Hollywood, Japan, game studios, it can all dump into one big fucking avenue. And what does that mean for you and me? It means that the internet is going to become bigger and better than it ever was perceived. We're not just going to have a small window, guys. It's not going to just be It's not going to just be a Facebook page or a music page or Twitter or TikTok videos. You're probably going to have a very cool online persona, and there's probably going to be a lot of cool stuff to do. And it's going to probably connect very well with the world in so many different fucking ways. I don't know why I see it like this right now. I know I skipped a lot of steps because I got very excited with this. But I didn't expect to think of the other form that anime has been coming up with, where I was simply talking about the Hero Academy shows that are everywhere, right? There's one content that hasn't really been created over in Hollywood too much, and that's what needs to be driven over there, which is entering your own world and starting building, just building, like Minecraft but more advanced, right? It's exactly where we can go. There's so much space in this world, virtual world, that everybody can have their own fucking kingdom. And what do you do if you have enough space to think? You can create unlimited art. You can do whatever you want. We can reflect off of each other. It doesn't have to be ego in such a place. And what do you have when you have a place like that? Perfect space, symmetry, ownership is hard to come by at that point when everyone has everything they need, right? What do you do then? Art has a lot of avenues that haven't been explored when peace is achieved. And violence becomes more like a violin when there's absolute peace. Because violence doesn't have to disappear for peace to prevail. Because what is violence when no one gets hurt? But so much fun. That's why we fucking love video games and we are not upset about it. It's not weird that we're shooting each other with weapons. It's not bad that we're hitting each other. And it's not just because it's the controller. It's literally because they respawn and no one gets hurt. It is a sport and it is intrinsically fun. What are all sports but violence made safe? Why do we love violence? I can't tell you enough. I love violence because it helps me think. For some reason. Because it's like twiddling my fucking thumbs. This used to help me think in school because I wasn't allowed to do anything else while I was listening. At all. What did I used to do when I got out of school? I used to listen to all sorts of things on YouTube while playing video games. I used to watch TV while playing video games. How can you do both? Because you can listen cleanly to stories while focusing heavily. And for an ADHD brain like me, never diagnosed, but I'm sure of it. 7-second attention span for sure. Unless I really try hard to push through it. Like this, deep breath. Wow, that was a bad idea to even bring that up, huh? Just got super derailed there. Suggestion is a powerful thing, and I just suggested I fail, and I did. Just give me a second. I'll get it back. Oh no. This is what we call brain fart, dude. Well, whatever. Oh yes, violence is fun. Is all I'm trying to get at, dude. When it's fucking safe. So in Civilization 1, don't worry about being bored. You don't have to picture it too hard, guys. Humanity will cover fun, okay? Be fucking nice to each other, be safe, and don't fucking hurt each other's reputations. Do not derail humanity. Which means don't fucking abuse others. Don't abuse structure that is being used to help everybody. The faster we grease the fucking wheels to get to a peaceful civilization, we're already on our way, by the way. In the United States of America, it doesn't always seem that way when you watch the news. It really doesn't seem like that a lot. I haven't watched the news in a long time, but every time I catch it, it seems aggressive. And yes, there is a war in Syria right now, and I'm sorry about that. But there are people, capable people, who are over there doing what they can, just like you and me. And what do you do if you get in the way? You don't always help. There's a lesson in this right now. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stay out of the way. Because what do you do when there's an unanswerable question that they're trying to solve? You go there and you try and learn all of the details. How do you do that? You ask the people working on the problem what is going on. What do they have to do? Explain everything to you that have already explained to several other individuals who could not solve the issue. So what do? They muster up the hope and the wherewithal to tell you everything they've told everybody else. And what do you do to an unanswerable problem with all the new data that's being laid out? I don't know. Did you live there before? Do you have a solution? I hope so. Because if you don't, and you're worried about it, if you don't have the capability of coming up with a beautiful solution for them, then don't make them tell you every little thing so they can hurry up and focus on their solution for themselves. Because people are capable across the board. Do you get that? You have to believe in yourselves. And that means believing in others because they had to believe in you, don't they? Safety across the board, right? If there's bombs across the board, there's safety across the board still. That means we do have a level of faith in each other. We just need to amplify that a little bit more, bro. And I think part of that, a good branch, instead of having a world peace document, would just be some countries coming together and making some of the coolest art ever. Why not, dude? Because what? Hollywood has spent so long building their structure to make the best studios ever. So they come up with the coolest art ever. And a lot of it now is virtual structure because they have some of the best CGI and programming, blah, 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 I don't know too much about, ever. I love to watch the movies that they come out with. They do tend to bore me these days, though, unfortunately, because it's been a lot of the same for the last couple of years. That's just me. So I tend to play more games than anything where I'm an active participant in the storyline, which is what I love. Like this. Which is why I love a game like Destiny. Because when you play the Crucible, they discuss this. It brings the question up of where is violence going. Because in an art form even like this, violence is extremely a high perpetuator of the energy of the game. Everything you have to do involves a level of violence. Virtual, fake violence, but it's still nonetheless violence, right? And the Crucible is actively guardians, the characters you are, fighting each other, right? But they don't ever die because they're supposed to respawn in the game because these little devices bring them back without a scratch. The point is, they're trying to already dive away from Slayer type energy and make it sport violence, which is a beautiful thing. It is an absolutely great thing. Dark Souls did it too, in a way, where you die and you come back and it's an in-game mechanic, as in, if you were in the game world and you were trying to suspend belief completely, when you die, in that in-game world, you're supposed to go back to that bonfire and come back. You come out of the bonfire like a phoenix or something, I don't know. Corpsey phoenix. Doesn't matter. But other, like, NPCs, non-playable characters, like in-game objects that act like people, they would do that too to help you suspend belief. Correct? And now Destiny's doing the same thing, but in a really positive, fun way with a PvP. Kind of, they're mimicking Dark Souls in a way. It's very cool. I think more people should do it. Only thing it does harm is the PvE to a degree, which is why they're, I think, slowly but surely and perfectly, because they don't need to rush this job because it's the way it's been done for so long. But I think they are grasping they can really manifest evil as a theme in this game. And that's one thing I've always had a problem with this game, is that the darkness doesn't have, what would you call it? The darkness doesn't have enough of a evil theme to it. In Destiny 1, when they were advertising this game, I was looking so forward to the universe I was about to jump into. I was surprised that it was aliens they were fighting. It made sense to a degree. Their backstories, and then I was always wondering, I always asked the question, what's the real darkness, though? Because these are just panicking invaders, and we had to work through the stress of them fighting us. And then you look around, they're not really fighting you all that much. They're just kind of wandering around, looking around. It's cool, though. It is an in-game world. It's not a perfect place.